Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of For the Love of Marketing. Today, we're going to be talking about how to build, plan out, build, and deliver a really effective marketing strategy. I'm super excited to have back Jon Mowat, who is an author, a consultant, and MD of a fantastic video marketing agency. We spoke a few weeks ago, Jon, about the creative side, the psychology side, what makes a good video. And today we are going to dig into, so great, you got a good video. What the hell do you do with it, right? So, Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely.
Awesome. Cool. Well, as everyone, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, we'll get cracking. So last time we spoke, Jon, we talked about, what is video? How do you make it create an emotional connection with people? What do you do with that video to a certain extent within your sales funnel as well? But that's the video itself. That's connecting with people and having a message. But there are so many channels to video now. There's so many metrics you can look at, and all digital marketing is driven and should be driven certainly by performance metrics. So before we get into how do you plan a really effective marketing strategy, what should you be producing, where should you be distributing it, etc., etc. Let's just wind it back a little bit. Where do you start, right? I mean, you've got to think about, as with everything, and those people that have read my book, and I'm sure your book, will know this, but you've got to start with your goals. But from a video marketing strategy perspective, what does that mean?
That's a good shout. I think imagine you're the marketing director of a brand that's been going a while, and you've come in new. And you're like, right, I'm going to inject some kind of contemporary sort of thinking to this stuff, and I'm going to put more video in it. It's like, that's typically where I think a lot of people start. It's like they've already got a marketing plan or of some kind, and they're just like, well, what tools can I use? So I think the easiest thing for me to do is to give some initial terminology and approach and thinking, and then we can kind of build up on that, if that kind of makes sense. So the things that you need to know when you're planning with video, you got to start with a good plan. And that firstly means you've got to understand your business problems, which I'm not going to go into because everyone knows their business problems, but understanding where they are in the digital sales funnel is important. Then we can talk to you about, I can talk to you about what kind of films you've got to solve problems, because they're not all created equally and they will do very different things. An 8-second TikTok is not a 2-hour webinar, right? So it's like understanding those kind of things. And then once we've got that, we need to understand emotional drivers, which we touched on last time we chatted actually, but is really important. And then from there, you can build out a plan. So that's the plan. And then the good thing is when you've got a plan, if you've got £1 million or $1 million, you can spend that much. And if you haven't, you can look at the plan and prioritize, but you got to start with that plan. So, I know that I'm just about to launch off into a big rant about sales funnels, but I think that's the most important thing, right? It's like, for me, if you look at the traditional sales funnel, it was this kind of V shape, right? And you put mass media in the top, TV, advertising, millions of eyeballs, and over time you would sort of shrink them down and you'd get a sale out of the bottom. And it's like, it's just not that shape anymore. For me, the digital sales funnel is now narrow at the top, and then it bulges in the middle and it gets narrow again at the beginning. Because if you think about it, we're putting leads in at the top, which are highly targeted. We can target by demographics and age and interest groups. So we're putting a lot less, but much more relevant leads into the top. Then people stay in that middle of the sales funnel for a week, a day, a month, a year, while they get to know your brand, they get to understand what it does. And we have to have content there for them. And then we spit them out. And then when they are ready, we can probably nudge them over the edge to a sale. So if you look at that, it's like at the top of the funnel, we're an advertiser, right? We're pushing into people's feeds. We're doing search. We're doing TV. People aren't choosing to watch it. We're kind of shoving it into their faces a bit. And that's where we make emotive brand films and maybe have some search friendly content. And then once you understand that's your problem, if people know who you are, but your problem is they don't know what you do, then it's the middle of the sales funnel you've got to look at. When we're a publisher, so we're telling what we do. And that's when we can tell longer stories because people are choosing to watch it. It's going to be on your site. It's going to be more social and long form, explainers, testimonials, that kind of stuff. And then if people know that you exist, they know what you do, and they're still not buying, then you've got a problem at the bottom of the sales funnel, which is how do we convert people? And that's where we can do direct response stuff. We can do super short adverts or money off. So the first thing in the plan is where's my problem? Is it top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel? And then you can build on from there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I think it's a really interesting. I mean, I guess that's not a funnel anymore, if you put it that way, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know what shape that is.
I've had it described as a bladder before.
Yeah,
it's kind of a weird shaped bladder.
I'm not sure that's going to catch on.
It's not really going to catch on, but it's kind of like I don't know, balloon shape with a hole at the bottom. Really,
yeah. I think it's right. I mean, I think it's spot on. There's an awful lot that goes on in that sort of that consideration phase now. I think it does differ slightly depending on who you are and what you're promoting. I think in B2C world, the top of the funnel can still be pretty wide open. If you're doing,
of course, if you've got budget for TV or above the line, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a McDonald's or something, then you're not going after each individual burger eater. You
yes,
slam
absolutely,
out to everyone and bring them all in the doors. So, I think it does differ. But no, I think that's a really interesting way of looking at it.
I suppose I should call that my kind of like below the line digital sales funnel, or rather than the through the line or an above the line thing. It's like,
exactly.
I think mass media marketing still got its place, but even then, like we do a holiday company, they do a lot of above the line, but then you still use this digital funnel for the other stuff, for the the parallel stuff.
But maybe maybe that funnel comes down and then drips into your bladder.
Oh, maybe I need maybe I need to adjust that. Yeah, okay.
Oh dear, something to think about. Got nothing else to think about this evening. So that's I think that's a really important point. We always need to start with those goals and what we're going to convert, and that sales funnel model is really interesting. But let's say you've had a look at that. You understand, as you say, you've got a marketing plan. You understand what those what your sort of core goals are, right? You've got an understanding of how your sales funnel works. But beyond that, if you start then focusing on, so what do we do within video to solve these problems, to answer these questions? What sort of films do you think people need to be creating? What videos? How do you approach where to start? Right, there's so many different messages, so many different approaches to video. How do you think about that and structure that?
Well, it's how you organize it, right? And I think there's been a temptation to go, this is a talking head, this is an animation, this is a film, this is a whatever. And I think that categorizing it by what it looks like is fundamentally the wrong approach, because you can do the same job with an animation as you can do with an archive-driven thing or whatever. So a really good system was that YouTube were working with an agency called We Are Social in the UK on the Adidas account, and they decided, let's how do we categorize the kind of content? And they came up with these 3 categories: hero, hygiene, and hero, hub, and hygiene is what they came up with. And that was kind of YouTube's model, and I won't go into that because I've slightly adjusted it, because YouTube isn't all of video marketing. But the way I look at video is 4 types: hero, hub, help, and go. And once you understand those 4 types, which is leading the segue where I explain it nicely, but once you understand those 4 types, you get it. So a hero film is emotional. It's emotive. It's normally at the top of the funnel. It's going to be short, 15, 30, 60 seconds. It's that classic kind of TV commercial, right? And if you look at a brand that did it, Felix Baumgartner jumping out of the spaceship or the hot air balloon for Red Bull, right? It's got nothing to do with the brand. I mean, arguably it gives you wings or whatever it is. That kind of big hero stunt where it isn't really about that, but it's big budget. And that's your hero asset. A smaller brand might do a brand film or a TV commercial. So that's easy. We understand that's traditional film. Underneath that, you've got like a hub film. And looking again at the Red Bull version, you call it a hub because people keep coming back to it. It's like a content hub. It's a series. So Red Bull did a thing about what is it like to be a professional surfer, and you just go back and watch it, which started to connect more clearly with their sort of brand proposition. We work with people like Costa, and a hub film for them is like a whole series about how we make coffees, like baristas telling you what a good cortado is and that kind of stuff. And that hub stuff is typically the middle of the sales funnel. So it's like, we need to explain what we do. We need to tell deeper stories. So we get attention with the hero stuff. We explain with the hub, and then underneath that is the help content, and the help content is what people are Googling when they want to find some solutions. It's testimonials. It's anything that's going to deepen that triangle. So I think of it as a content triangle, like a few hub hero assets at the top, a few more hub assets underneath, and then loads of help content because we need to solve problems and all those things. And then the other thing you need to know is about go content, which is super short, which is like, you need to do it. Here's some money off. Go and find something. So once you understand the Hero Hub help model and you understand the sales funnel, you can go, right, I've got a problem at the top of the sales funnel. I need a help film, which means that people can Google it so they can find me. Or I need a hero film, which emotionally connects. Or you go, do you know what? I've got a real problem in the middle of this thing because nobody understands what on earth we do. And that's going to be like a series of hub content, which explains it. So those two models are kind of core to everything that we think about. And it's a great place to start. But normally a good campaign will have a hero, some hubs, loads of helps, and the odd go, you know?
Nice.
No, it's almost like I've talked about that before, right?
Yeah, love it. I love it. HHHG. That's a good one to remember. Is that in your books?
Oh yeah, it is in the book. Yeah, and it's interesting because I developed it for the book, but it's like it really does actually work. So in the agency in Hurricane, that's very much the language that we talk about, and it just really works. And the world's becoming more complicated because hero films are different formulas and different lengths. And you might run a YouTube channel with lots of content on it, but it's still the same basic stuff, right?
Yeah. Okay. That's a really great model. And I think, I've always used different terminology for what is effectively the same videos, but I mean, you talk about a hub. I always think about evergreen and series, and it's effectively the same sort of types of approach, right? But and really evergreen is the most hub and evergreen stuff, right? I think is the unsung hero of the thing, because it's like it's going to give you long tail search results. It's going to drive engagement rates. It's going to drive conversion rates. It's going to hit a lot of those kind of metrics. Hero films are eyeballs. I got this many eyeballs, right? Great. And I can click through to a site. But it's the hub stuff and the help stuff that's going to increase sales, which is going to drive conversion rates and stuff like that. I would add that the hero pieces will often create a brand in a stronger way than some of the others. So they might not create the action, they might not create the sales, they might not create the customers, but they may well tell a story that resonates with people or position you a certain way. Demonstrate your values more clearly, and those sort of things. Whilst they're not focused on driving immediate business, they are, of course, part of the building the brand, which, of course, in turn creates higher conversion rates, better retention rates, depending on what sort of business you are. So I think there's a really solid place for those, but you need to do them, in my mind, really well. I think those are the things you can't skimp on. They've got to be good, high production value. Well put together pieces. I'd imagine.
I think the really smart stuff is when there's a straight line, there's a direct connecting line between your hero, your hub, your help and stuff. Because it's like, let's say you come up with a central brand proposition, like we worked with a holiday company and it was like, this is your time, right? This is your time on holiday. It's super precious. Well, then that's the hero film. It's all about emotive. This is your time, spending time with your family. But the hub stuff, the evergreen stuff is, here's what you can do with your time on holiday. And it's like a series of travel videos about what you can do in the middle of England or on the coast of England. And then the help stuff is like, how do you spend your more time more effectively? How do I book easily? It's like tie it all together. That's where it starts getting clever. Yeah,
I agree. So, multi-layered campaigns, I think that those things are hugely, hugely powerful, really resonate. And it's easy to step people from one thing to the other if the message is consistent as well. So, really, really good. Okay, so let's say we've got these types of videos now. We know what the goals are. We know what sort of videos we need to be producing. But how do we get that into a compelling sort of content plan that says, take all these videos and this is what I need to do with them and how I send them out and how I coordinate them and where do they go? I mean, how do we get from A to B on that journey?
Yeah, and also when do I engage either my internal team or an agency, right? When does this stop being a theoretical exercise and become real? So everyone loves a spreadsheet, and I've got a spreadsheet which I can share, which is a tool that I use, which is a video marketing planning template, whatever you want to call it. But fundamentally, it's like it just helps you with the process. It's like, this is the stage in the funnel. This is where I'm working on. These are the kind of films I need. these are the KPIs, these are the key messages, you know, and it goes into like hundreds, you know, loads of columns, and depending on how nerdy you are, you can fill them out. But it's like, I think the first thing to do is just start mapping out the content that you need. And then I think the next thing is, well, which bit's the priority? And where do I need to spend my budget? Because not everyone's got £1 million for an integrated campaign, right? But it's like, actually, if you've got an iPhone and one of your problems is you're not converting, then just go and do some testimonials. It's going to start making an impact on your business. So I think number one is just lay it out, brain dump it. And then you can do the cool stuff like, what are these films going to look like? And that's a whole nother question, which we can get into, but lay it out and take it from there.
Nice. Okay. So we've got our videos, we've got a bit of a plan. We know what we're trying to achieve. I think one of the questions that I get a lot, and you know, as you know, I do a lot of work with brands to help them develop strategies in all sorts of areas, sometimes around video, but much more broadly than that. But the question often comes up with regards to video, but also more broadly with regards to branding and advertising and you know, many other areas. Where do I focus my efforts, right? So you know, you can go out there and you can put your videos on your site. You can put them on YouTube. You can put them on TikTok. You can put them on Instagram Reels. You can, you put them on Facebook. You can distribute these things everywhere. We could spend the next 5 or 6 hours talking about all the different channels, right? And the benefits of each and how you approach them. But yeah, I think there's two that we should be honing in on that are going to be most useful for people, which are YouTube and TikTok right now. Because YouTube's been around for a long time. It's a massive search engine, massive social media site, has huge impact and has shorts as well as lengthy videos and how-to videos, and incredibly compelling. TikTok, of course, is the real big trend these days, and in many ways has the opportunity to get your video in front of far more eyes than the other channels too. So, you must be dealing with YouTube and TikTok day in, day out. Time. So, yeah, exactly. So, let's talk about TikTok to start with, because it's such a hot topic.
And I think probably one thing to establish before we dive into the channels, right? It's like, what we're talking about here is activation. There's two ways you can approach social channels, right? One is that you have some content like a brand film or whatever, and you put paid behind it, and you put paid media behind it on TikTok and YouTube. And that's one way of using those channels to activate your content. But the other way to do it is to do organically, own those channels organically, and actually to grow a YouTube channel or to grow a TikTok channel. And those are completely different tools. And it's really, when we're going to talk about it, it's like the thing that people get excited about is, I'm going to start a TikTok channel, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, and we can talk about that. And I think we should focus on that. But equally, maybe later in the chat, we revisit this and go, well, hang on, if I just got some assets and I just want to get them out, what can I do? Which is a paid thing. So that was a rant, wasn't it? So which one are we doing? Let's do TikTok. Only because it's really important, because I think people get a little bit confused about it. But the thing with TikTok is, do you actually want to do it, right? I think we as marketers are really bad at getting distracted by the shiny new thing a little bit, right? So like the big question you firstly got to do is, do I need TikTok? There's amazing stuff, like its reach is fantastic. It was traditionally quite young, but that is actually changing. It's got 260 million monthly active users. It's like 206 million, monthly active users. It's huge, right? And its engagement rate is massive. It's getting 18% engagement rate. And if you compare that with Instagram, which is only 3.86%, and the zeitgeist at the moment is keep it real. TikTok is more real than anything else. Arguably, Be Real is realer than TikTok, but do you know what I mean? It's pretty real. And also you can get super, super niche on it. It's like, if you do finger knitting, you can find a TikTok channel about finger knitting. So I think there is a really kind of compelling reason to be on TikTok. I think 47% of TikTok users are between 10 and 29. It's crazy. And what's really worrying is that kids of 4 to 15 are spending on average 75 minutes on it a day.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff. And that leads me through to, that's the other thing, is people are using TikTok as a search engine now. So there's a great quote from this kind of off the record Google insider, who was basically saying that something like 40% of young people, when they're looking for somewhere to eat, they don't Google it, they TikTok it. which is bonkers for someone of my decrepit years.
I've heard that myself, a very similar stat myself, and I think it's absolutely right. And in the same way, years ago, there are a lot of millennials who used to use Twitter as their search engine rather than Google as well, because it's often more current as to what's happening right now. So it's that is a trend that I think people overlook. It's not just a place people go to catch up on social. It's the beginning of their internet journey for younger generations, definitely.
And that's why I think that's why people are like, we should do it. We can get hit with the kids or whatever we could do. But on the other side, like TikTok is like firstly a massive ball ache. It's really time consuming to do well, right? Putting aside the just advertising on it, if you're going to run a TikTok channel, which we've helped a couple of businesses start TikTok from scratch, one of your team is going to disappear because they are going to be TikToking, and it's very hard to ship it out to an agency because it's about authenticity. It's about your team. So we work with a British sort of book distributor, like a secondhand book distributor, and suddenly their marketing team is running around the warehouse doing dances, and we're grabbing people off the shelves and we're grabbing people off the Salesforce to do these things. So it's a big commitment. Secondly, do you want to be part of a channel which is becoming increasingly supervised for security and privacy invasions? It's known for political censorship. It's already been connected to harmful behavior and cyber stalking. There's a big brand safety element of being on it. And it's like, sure, go into it. But it's like, I think you just have to decide, is it for you? And also it's really fiddly and complicated. It's like, the analysis is really hard. It's the data. It's not as good a business tool as we would like it to be because it didn't start that. But just balance those two things out, right?
I think it's still on a journey. I think there's positives and negatives, right? I think with Instagram is a long way away from where it started out, and I think it gets a lot of negative press because of that. And I think rightly so. I think it's not what it started out to be. Since Facebook bought it and went a different direction, it still has a lot of strengths to it. From a brand perspective and the ability you have to manage things on there and run ads on there and that sort of stuff, it's great. But it's not as authentic. It's not as easy to use to get real traction with organically as TikTok is. And I think that's the challenge. The challenge for TikTok is, do they push much more towards advertising and brands and go down an Instagram route, but move away from who they authentically are and therefore lose their place, or do they try and stay authentically with who they are and try and adapt the advertising tools in the background? And I don't think any of the social media channels have really got that right in any of their journeys yet. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes for those guys over the next few years.
Yeah, and ad blockers and that whole kind of thing. But it's interesting. I just pick up on something you said there. It's like I think you said something like organic success where you can get found. Like the really interesting thing about TikTok is you can blow up. Like you can make massive things. And this is to do with the way the algorithm works, right? So, you post a video and it goes out to a small bunch of viewers. And you can be completely unheard of. You can be but if those people, right, what TikTok wants more than anything is for you to keep watching, right? They don't care if you're having a good experience. They don't care if it's good for you. They just want you to keep watching. So if somebody puts out a video which matches to an audience to watch it, that's the first rank, right? And then they'll boost it again.
Yeah.
And then if those people watch it, they'll boost it again because it's just watch, boost to boost. So you can go from unheard of to, 10 million views. If you're lucky, right? Equally, you can die a death, and it's what people get excited because they do a post, and what it does is it goes to a certain group of people and it gets watched, so it gets boosted again, so you get this kind of uplift in views, and then it just dies, and that's because just not enough people are watching it. So it's quite a pure thing, right? But the other thing brands struggle with is people don't watch brand messages. People don't share the shit want them to share, right? But we did one where the CEO was making a bit of an idiot of himself and dancing around with a book on his head. It got hundreds of thousands of views because it was funny. And it's like, you have to be prepared for that. The thing that might work might not be the thing you really want to push.
Yeah, that's right. And people are going there for, as you say, sort of education and entertainment, two of the main reasons people look for anything online. And I think if you can answer one of these problems, you've got the best chance of having some success. And if you just put out if we go back to the hero videos, right, we start putting out really beautiful brand hero videos on TikTok, probably not going to work, right?
It's going to die as death.
Yeah, exactly. No one's interested, right? So have the outtakes from your video where someone fell off something, and you might have a better chance, right?
Yes, that is it. So, I think for the people listening to this, like, do I want to do one? It's like, do you want to make the commitment to do it properly? Because if you're not going to do it properly and do a genuine TikTok channel, you might as well put it to one side and just run paid on TikTok, which is where most people are dipping their toes. But if it's for you and it fits your brand proposition and you want to get seen by that generation quickly, and you don't necessarily want specific actions, like you're not looking to immediate sales, you just want eyeballs to drive awareness, go ahead, crack on.
Yeah. And we talked, we said that TikTok and YouTube are the two we're going to focus on now. So let's just flip over to YouTube. How does everything you just said about TikTok differ to how you'd approach YouTube?
It's a completely different thing, right? It's like, again, let's put paid to one side. Let's not talk about pre-rolls or like, we can talk about that. Let's just say you want a channel. It's about, if you just want to, okay, firstly, people won't click through from a YouTube channel to your brand site. It's like sub 1%. Like it's not a sales pipe, but it's a brand awareness pipe. So there's the favorite case of a sort of a plumber I think he was in Kansas or somewhere, and he just started posting funny clips about his outrage at bad plumbing jobs. He's now got a multi-million-pound business on the back of it just because of brand awareness. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, it's about consistency of posting. It's about sort of the velocity that you can post and consistently good stuff. Yes, it is interested in watch times, but it's not just eyeballs. It's much more involved in engagement rates. Like if somebody watches one of your videos, will they bounce onto another one of your videos, and then from then to another one, and then it will boost your channel. So what you're looking to do with YouTube is consistent posting of entertaining stuff so that you can be recommended. So 75% of the views on YouTube come from being recommended by YouTube. So you need to work to get recommended, which is regular posting and long engagement rates, right? Mm-hmm. So if you've got a really charismatic person or people and you can put them front and center and they can make regular content, then growing a YouTube channel from scratch is a really good shout. If you're just putting out the occasional brand film or bit of a talking head and you slap it on YouTube, it's not going to do anything. So again, it's like, are you going to do this properly, or is it just a repository for your stuff?
Yeah. It's a good
rant
point
about YouTube a lot.
No, it's a good point, and it's. I think it's true across all content. I think, it's like if you consider SEO and blog writing, right? I think that's another really. It's a very similar area, and that if you write one blog every 2 months and you think that's gonna get you somewhere, it's absolutely not. I mean, Google owns YouTube as well, of course. So it's the same. Yeah. Ultimately, it's the same thinking behind the doors, right? You keep feeding us with good, interesting, relevant content that people are engaging with, right? And do that frequently, and we'll be happy, and people engage with that. We'll show it to more people. Ultimately, that's the way the thinking goes, and it's the same. If you write a couple of blogs a week and you make them engaging and interesting and in your area of authority, then you'll own that space. And it's exactly the same with YouTube in my mind as well. So I always equate those two sort of approaches the same, because you're feeding the same beast, right?
You absolutely are. And I think if you've got it's weird, right? If you think, I've got a lower budget, so I'm not making as much stuff, so I'm just going to go only organic. Actually, if you've got the lower budget, you've got more need to go for paid activity, right? Because YouTube isn't going to recommend you because you're not making enough stuff. But if you've got £20,000 or $20,000 for a film, make a $10,000 film and put £10,000 of paid media behind it, and you'll get seen by someone. Whereas if you've got loads of subscribers and you're putting out stuff regularly, you just spend all 20,000 on a great film because it will just get watched. So it's two very different approaches. I think the final rant I have on YouTube is it's a one takeaway that everyone seems to get. If you are using YouTube to embed on your website, you just need to stop doing that. And I'll tell you why. If you open up your YouTube sources, go into your YouTube channel, open up the sources, it will tell you where the traffic has come from to a YouTube channel. And if you're hosting on YouTube, if you're using YouTube to host on your website, in your sources, it will show you that there's traffic coming to your YouTube channel from your own website. So what's happening there is you're spending all this money to acquire visitors. They land on your website, they watch a YouTube hosted video, they click on the little YouTube link, and disappears them back to YouTube, where suddenly they're watching cat videos or competitors' videos. It's like, it's the biggest waste of money you can possibly do as a brand, is to host using YouTube. Use Vimeo, use 23, use Vidyard. Like any one of these other tools are so much better. And there you go. That's the end of my rant about that.
No, that's good. That's good. I mean, any tool that takes any tool that takes someone off your website is not recommended.
It's not helpful, right? Yeah,
it's not helpful. The only thing I would say is that having actually some external links from nothing to do with video, but having some external links from your site to build authority as justification for the things you're saying within certain pieces of content is helpful, as long as you're opening them in new windows. But that's we're talking about SEO there, so let's not get distracted. So you've just thrown a whole bunch of numbers around about if you spend this much on advertising and this much on creation of a video. There's a certain definitely still a conversation I have with people all the time of but isn't this going to cost us a fortune? We're going to have to spend all these money creating all these hero videos, and then we've got to have to create videos every day or 2 days to feed the social media machine, and it's going to cost us an absolute fortune. There's no way we can possibly afford this. What do you think about budgets and video marketing? Because there's a number of thoughts I have on it.
Well, the number one thing I get asked at a conference is, how do I do this with no money? It's like, so I'm well used to that. It can cost you an awful lot of money, but let's just go back to the plan again, right? We've looked at this plan, and we know we need to do something at the awareness phase, the consideration phase, and we know that we've got particular videos attributed to that. So like maybe some testimonials that are locked down the bottom of the sales funnel. Those could be super, super cheap. So if you've got a lower budget, look at the stages of the funnel, right? And think, which type of films can I solve some of these problems with cheaply? And so it doesn't have to be expensive. Yeah, okay, a hero film, we make hero films that are like $20,000 to $150,000. But equally, you can get your iPhone and you can make a testimonial for hardly anything.
Yeah.
My only thing is, what we see is when people have got lower budgets, they try and get videos to do lots of different things. So I don't know if you know what a spork is. Do you know what a spork is?
It rings a bell. I can't.
A spork is it's a spoon and a fork, right?
Right.
And it's a crap spoon and a crap fork. It's like it's rubbish at both of those things. And it's like video is just the same. I know what you mean.
The spoon with got the little prongs on it.
Yeah, it's kind of got the little. Yeah, exactly. So it's a camping thing. You can use it as a spoon, but you can't eat soup with it because it's got a fork in it. It's like it should be 3 tools: knife, fork, spoon, right? It's like, and they do different things: cut stuff, spoon stuff, poke stuff. I can't describe it any better than that. And video is the same. It's like, if you're trying to solve a bottom of funnel sales problem or a top of funnel, it's a different job. So don't waste your money trying to go, I haven't got much money, I'm going to get a tool that does all these things. Like, just conserve your ammo, spend it on one thing and do it really, really well. Like if you need to do testimonials, spend it there. And it's just, there's a temptation to get, we want it to drive sales, drive acquisition, but also explain what we do. And we need to have it's like, whoa, just chill out. Like, stop doing that. Do less.
So solve one problem at a time. Yeah, it's single-minded propositions. What we always talk about in marketing, right? Let's just do that one thing and do that one thing well. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Look, Jon, it's been really, really fantastic. It's been so helpful and informative. I'm sure loads of people are going to get some really great tips out of this. There's so much more to it, and I'm sure you'd welcome conversations from anyone who's got any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, reach out, ask me questions.
Hurricane Media as well. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
But look, amazing, Jon. Maybe we'll have you back again. You've done 2 already. Maybe we'll get you in a third sometime.
Well, thank you very much. Hopefully I haven't put you off yet. Yeah.
No, it's been amazing. So yeah, I recommend if you've got a video challenge, go speak to Jon over at Hurricane Media and grab a copy of his books as well, because they're really fantastic on this subject and hugely informative. So in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to For the Love of Marketing and like the video if you found it helpful. And thanks very much, Jon. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.